All right, this is the CS and PM monthly meeting, and we're going to start with product updates. So Grant left some async updates around security policies. There is some really exciting new features, including the new set of experimental features. So they're in the experiment phase. They're not beta or GA for security policies, where you can add your own scripts that will be enforced with a custom CI job directly in the security policy. They also have security policy scopes, which granularly scope each policy you create to projects containing a compliance framework label or a list of projects. Scopes can be applied per policy for scan result policies and scan execution policies. The big benefit with this new feature is the ability to create policies centrally at the group or subgroup level and then apply scopes. In addition to the security policy project link to granularly choose which projects to apply a policy per policy. They started with an experiment, and he answers some of those questions as to why this is an experimental feature. So it enables both features to allow us to expose them to customers to get more feedback, and we can harden the features before us customers rely on them and they become generally available. They're not quite stable yet, but they're ready for customer feedback. And he has a link to the feedback issue in the agenda. Any questions or thoughts around the things that have been recently released for security policies? All right, Hannah, over to you.
All right. Hello, everyone. Update from authentication. We continue to add features to our enterprise users functionality, which is a GitLab.com only feature. Whenever I first started a couple years ago, it was a big theme that user management was more fully featured on self-managed than on SaaS. So this is kind of to meet that gap. I haven't heard that as much lately, perhaps because we are making progress here or people have moved on, but we're trying to close that gap. And I'd be curious if anybody has any feedback as to if there's more features for enterprise users that you don't see prioritized here in the sub-bullets. Please let me know, or if there's customers that are pointing gaps out to you, I'd love to talk to them. And then in the most recent milestone, we also rolled out a feature for self-managed that enforces 2FA for administrators. So if an admin doesn't have 2FA set up, they're forced to set it up. This is an optional setting. And of course, we recommend that everyone has 2FA, not only admins, but this is kind of our first foray into nudging, starting with the most privileged accounts, and then later we may follow up with requiring it for everyone. We'll see. That's all I got. Any feedback or questions?
No, just as a comment from someone who has a handful of Ultimate customers. They are still excited about the enterprise features. I think they've just been kind of waiting for them to roll out. So thank you for the focus on that.
Okay, good. Yeah, it's actually tiered at premium. Yes, it took us a long time, much longer than expected, to kind of get the automated user claims in place. And that finally happened few milestones ago, and so now we should be much more quick to iterate with adding features every milestone on top. All right, looks like you're up next, Joe.
All right, hey everyone. Permissions and custom roles update. Have some upcoming custom roles, including custom permissions for roles, including managing CI/CD variables. So those who have maintainers just to manage CI/CD variables, they can be technically dropped down to developer, and you could use that as a base role along with compliance frameworks as another custom permission. We're also looking at moving custom role creation to the instance level to be centrally managed. And we're also doing some additional validation on grouping permissions and having a consistent CRUD model. Really, our ultimate goal here is to provide a systematic approach to deliver custom permissions or roles while providing quick value and offer flexibility to our customers. So one of the first things that we're going to share out in Slack and issues is a lightweight survey. So the idea here is your customer can build out their own customer role with the selected permissions that they need for their organization. So we really just want to understand the different variations of the permissions without using a prescribed default role. So look for that in the issues in Slack in the coming days. And that's it on my side. Over to you, Delana.
Yeah, so you may have seen just before the holidays, we released a new AI experiment called vulnerability resolution. So this experiment you'll see in SAST vulnerability records up in the upper right-hand corner. You can click a button and it will open a merge request that will take a stab at proposing a fix for that vulnerability. In the agenda, I linked documentation, the feedback issue, an example vulnerability where you can quickly see that. And then also, I noticed a lot of people were clicking that. So I also linked an example merge request. So that way you can open your own merge request, but it'll do the same thing as the one that I have linked. Does anyone have any feedback from the field around how this is going? All right, we can get into it when it happens, but I'm glad now I know everyone here knows about it. The other thing that we've been doing in Threat Insights is we've been working on filtering, and most recently we have the MVC available for vulnerability report grouping. Right now, these groupings are only available at the project level. We're having some performance issues, and the vulnerability report grouping will come for the group level vulnerability report within the next handful of milestones. The MVC includes grouping by severity, status, tool, OWASP top 10, and there are actually two different lists for OWASP top 10, and we decided to include both 2017 and 2021. I also thought it was important to note that we recently updated the default filters on the vulnerability report. We will have the ability, it's on our roadmap to auto dismiss vulnerabilities that are no longer detected. But in the meantime, we updated the filter to include vulnerabilities that are still detected. This will minimize a lot of the noise that users were seeing when they see something that is like no longer detected. They think they need to triage it. So this is a great idea that Sam had that we were able to implement really quickly. All right, for Threat Insights, any questions on those three updates?
Thank you for that. I'm actually I'm working with the team to update our AI workshops, so I'll definitely be looking into that to see if I can implement that as kind of like another feature that's available, or
Awesome.
experimental, but I'll definitely add that in.
Okay, yeah, and please DM or reach out if you have any questions or ping me on that feedback issue.
For sure.
Great, thank you. There's nothing else. John, up to you.
Thanks, Lana. Yeah, so just two quick updates. So for continuous vulnerability scanning, we are targeting that delivery for container scanning in 16.9. We started this in 16.8, but the work carried over into the next milestone. So we're hoping to ship that in 16.9. And then another call out for continuous vulnerability scanning. We had released the support for dependency scanning as GA in 16.7. There are some fast follows that we wanted to address, mainly around some performance and more technical non-user facing issues that we've identified. So that should be shipped in 16.9 as well. I don't know if there's any questions, but those are the only updates that I had.
I have a quick question. So
Sure.
continuous vulnerability scanning for 16.9, that's GA, right?
Correct, yes.
Great, awesome, okay.
I'll kick it over to Sarah.
Thanks. We're just going to say we've recently added 15 active checks for browser-based tasks, and since we've completed that work, we're focusing more on improving crawler performance. So there's a couple of relevant issues that I'll get the links to and add here in the agenda. But performance is a key area of focus for us now.
Great. Well, I'm going to stop the recording and we'll, yeah, thank you.